ask you any further questions about that. Now, we were previously talking about February 24th, 2023, and I think you had described for the ladies and gentlemen of the jury that you had come back from the McDonald's, correct?
Yes.
And when you arrived back from the McDonald's, who did you see there?
Valerie and Juliana were at my white Ford Fusion vehicle. They were parked in the cul-de-sac, kind of in front of my neighbor's house, just outside my driveway.
And do you recall, was the car running? Were they in the car? Were they out of the car?
They were in the car at that point. I don't recall if it was running. It's a hybrid, so you don't necessarily hear the engine when it's kind of in idle.
Okay. And when you approached Juliana, what, if anything, did you do?
I asked her if the person just went into the house, as that was a question from previously, and she had indicated yes.
Okay. And was there a specific, at that point, did you know how the person got into the house?
I knew that they got into the house through the front door, but I didn't know more than that. It sounded to me at that point that they just went into the house without delay, I guess.
Okay. In terms of what you were told by others?
Yes.
Okay. Now, what did you do at that point?
I told Juliana to stay at the car.
Okay. And what about regard to Valerie?
I didn't address Valerie specifically, but they were in the car, and I had just told Juliana specifically to stay at the car.
In doing that, was it your intent that she would stay with Valerie?
Yes.
Okay. At that point, after you told her that, what did you do?
I walked partially down my driveway. My driveway is kind of a little bit long because it splits between me and my neighbor's driveway. And this was so that I could see a little bit better of what was going on. And this is when I saw a silver Jeep in the driveway, and that my front door was closed.
Now, so at this point, knowing what you know at the point that you saw the silver Jeep, how did that make you feel, and what were you concerned about at that point?
I guess it made me very anxious. I didn't know what was going on. I had concerns that this was going to be an affair, but I didn't know really I didn't really know what was going on at that point.
Okay. Did you think to call 911 at that point?
I didn't think that, it wasn't on my mind at this point that this was some type of violent or threatening encounter.
Okay. So what, if anything, did you do at that point?
I didn't continue going down the driveway. I basically made a right, which would be over the grass of my property, and headed towards my back fence.
Okay. Now, but you were closer to the front door, is that correct?
Yes, I was closer to the front door at that point.
Okay. Why didn't you go through the front door?
My front door has a electronic door lock. You would enter a code in order to gain access to the door, and every button that you push makes a beeping noise, and then the deadbolt makes a mechanical noise as it unlocks. It makes quite a bit of noise, and I didn't want all of that noise.
And what was your concern if there was going to be noise in the front area of your house?
I didn't know what was going on, if there was If there was an affair going on, I didn't want to alert it at that point. I also thought about just getting the lunches for for Valerie and Juliana that they were missing and leaving. That was also a thought.
Okay. Now, you're talking about the lunches. Why do you say that?
Juliana had informed me that she did not bring the lunches that she was going to take to the zoo for her and Valerie.
Okay. And moving forward, did you ultimately find those lunches in the refrigerator?
Yes, they were in I believe, the upper left of the refrigerator.
Okay. So if you can, for the ladies and gentlemen of the jury, give them an idea of, from the front door, and I think it shows in some of the body-worn camera, but if you could explain it, the front door and the noise from the front door was a concern to you. Why, based on the layout of the house?
So the front door kind of leads to the foyer. The foyer is 2 levels and goes to, basically it echoes right to the top of the stairs. The stairs are immediately to the right of the front door, and if you were to go up the stairs, the hallway is open to the foyer.
And is it easy to hear what happens at the front door?
Basically, everywhere on the main level can hear when the front door beeps and unlocks.
Okay, so we left off where you were going around the back to the backyard.
Yes.
What, if anything, did you do at that point?
I unlocked my back gate. There's a carabiner latch on there to make sure that the dog does not unlatch it. So I unlatched that carabiner and reclosed the gate, and then headed around back to my back basement door.
Okay, and did you access the house?
Yes, I unlocked the door, and while I was unlocking the door, my dog was in the basement, which is unusual, as the basement has a door that's pretty much always closed. So my dog Lily doesn't have access to the basement normally, and she was jumping up and down at the back door when I was going down there.
Now, let's just talk about the locked door from the back where you came in. How did you access that?
With my key.
Okay. And in general, were your doors locked when you left the house?
Yes.
Okay. Was that something that you took care to make sure of?
And the basement door wasn't used. The basement door wasn't used too frequently, so it remained locked almost all the time. Sometimes the back door by the deck, sometimes that would be forgotten to be unlocked, because that's the door that we let the dog in and out of 20 times a day.
Okay. And I'm sorry, I interrupted you. So you were in the basement and you were there with your dog. What's your dog's name?
Lily.
And what, if anything, did you notice about Lily's behavior when you went into the basement?
Lily was kind of frantic, is how I would describe it. She's normally pretty calm when members of the family come home. She'll just normally greet you and go about her business. She's not a young dog, but she was jumping up and down, and as it went in, she was spinning in circls and whining and I guess kind of chattering. She doesn't really bark. She kind of howls and moans and growls in terms of her communication.
Okay. And was she doing those things?
Yes.
And I think you indicated that there was a gate between the basement and the upstairs. Is that correct?
Well, when I had mentioned the gate, that meant the gate to the backyard.
Oh, I'm sorry.
But when I entered the basement, there was also I guess, a baby gate, but we used the gate for the dog, but not really all the time. The gate was blocking the stairs to go upstairs. The gate is, sometimes we would use it outside at the back deck to prevent the dog from going downstairs if it was particularly muddy out, or sometimes when some of the older members of our family were at the house, we would block the stairs going upstairs so that Lily would not bump into some of the older members of our family that aren't as stable. But the gate wasn't generally in use. The gate was usually in my garage, and Lily would have access to the main floor of the house and the upstairs of the house generally.
And there's a dog bed in your bedroom, is that correct?
Yes.
Would Lily have access to that part of the house?
Yes, Lily would have access to my bedroom generally at all points. She would generally sleep in my room.
Okay. Now, and likewise, would she have access to what was Juliana's room and Valerie's room and all the other rooms?
She didn't normally have access to Juliana's room because Juliana kept her door closed all the time. She did have access to Valerie's room, but she didn't tend to go into Valerie's room unless someone else was also in Valerie's room.
Okay. Now, so you're in the basement, and what happened next?
As I was opening the basement door, I kind of, I guess, shooed Lily inside. She was kind of in the way of me going inside. But I saw that Juliana and Valerie were coming down the brick path, maybe 20, 30 feet away, after I had opened the door. And Juliana was carrying Valerie and had followed me.
And after your last discussion with Juliana, had you communicated with her in any way to come down to the house?
I never told her to come down to the house.
Okay. So your previous statement of stay in the car was still standing, I guess?
I believed that it was. That was how I ended my conversation with her, was for her to stay in the car.
Okay. So when they got to the basement, what, if anything, did you do?
I allowed them access to the basement. I had the door, I guess, partially open for them. And then as they came in, I closed the door behind them.
Okay. And did you indicate to Juliana and Valerie anything relating to where they should stay?
We had a conversation in the basement. Again, I had searched the basement a little bit, and there's mainly one large room in the basement. There's also a bedroom, but in the large room where the couches are and the TV is, and there was workout equipment in there at that point. I looked around that room for a little bit and didn't see anybody. Very short time. But
why were you looking around the basement?
Well, I thought that there was somebody in the house, but I didn't know where that person was.
Okay. And so in terms of your search of the basement, did you do it like a law enforcement officer?
I would say that it was a quick search. The lights were off in the basement when I arrived, and I didn't hear any people or movement in the basement other than ourselves and the dog. So okay. I wouldn't say, I didn't go into like the bedroom closet in in the basement or check behind the shower curtain. I didn't do things like that in terms of a search. So, but I did, I guess, walk the main room. There wasn't anyone by the couches. There wasn't anyone by my desk, things like that.
Okay, and were those all in the open area?
Yes.
And did you look into any of the other areas? I mean, other
I
than
did,
the
I did, I did open the bedroom door that's in the basement, and I also didn't observe anyone there.
Okay, so whatever concern that caused you to do that you didn't have that any further, correct?
I did not have further concern that there was someone else in the basement that shouldn't be there.
Okay, so what, if anything, did you do next? And frankly, what instructions did you have for Juliana and Valerie?
So I instructed Juliana, well, actually, Valerie looked nervous. She was kind of wide-eyed looking at me, and I knelt down to her, and I told her to stay there with Juliana, and she said, "Okay, Daddy."
And so at that point, when you were in the basement, was there anything that caused your concern level to change from when you previously testified that you were outside?
It bothered me that the dog was in the basement, as she's not normally there. But I guess I was glad that she was in the basement at that point with Juliana and Valerie. Valerie loves Lily a lot and spends quite a lot of time with her. But it was also weird that, sorry, going back to Lily, it was also weird that Lily's food bowl was in the basement. And it was spilled all over the floor. I think that also shows that Lily was